Good evening, dear Kuwait television viewers, and welcome to another new episode of your weekly program, Kuwait in 30 Minutes. The English News and Political Programs Department has prepared a variety of reports that highlight the main events that have recently taken place across Kuwait. Our committed team of reporters is constantly engaged in numerous events with the objective of keeping you, dear viewers, aware of the latest information, regulations, and policies. Our aim is to help you obtain information on the latest developments at the local scene. So stay tuned for more coming your way this evening. Kuwait International Airport is currently witnessing the departure of thousands of residency law violators. Depart Kuwait after an amnesty period was granted to residency violators during the COVID-19 crisis. According to the latest statistics, 511 flights have departed Kuwait International Airport since 14th of June. The number of expatriates who have departed Kuwait since the 14th of June stands at 81,782 passengers, noting that this number includes expatriates who have no violation but wish to return to their homeland. Ghanwa Jabouri brings us more.
Kuwait International Airport is currently witnessing thousands of residency law violators and non-residency law violators depart Kuwait. According to the Civil Aviation, the latest statistics show that expats who have departed Kuwait since the 14th of June stands at 81,782, with the Egyptian and Bangladeshi nationalities making up the highest tally, followed by expats of various nationalities.
Actually, the arrangement of DGCA for the flights, evacuation flight, was actually well arranged, and with taking care of the precaution from Ministry of Health and with coordination with Ministry of Interior to arrange the evacuation flight from Kuwait Airport. The statistics until 14 of June 20 actually is around 81,000 passenger and 511 flight.
A decision by the Ministry of Interior was previously announced, allowing illegal expatriates to leave the country without incurring penalties, with the potential of permitting them to return back to Kuwait.
So far we have 511 flights so far leaving Kuwait, dated at June 14th, and we have like 81,782 travelers so far. Both the highest nationalities of Egyptians, from Bangladesh, and other nationalities, of course. And everybody is sticking to the rules of regulations regarding Ministry of Health, by social distancing, and they're taking all the procedures right on the spot.
The main role of the DGCA in the evacuation of expatriates from Kuwait is to ensure that the process runs smoothly in an orderly manner and while adhering to a set of guidelines stipulated by the Ministry of Health to protect travellers and airport employees from the spread of the novel coronavirus, such as temperature checking, social distancing, and other various precautions.
The Civil Aviation is ensuring that the evacuation of all expatriate passengers leaving Kuwait International Airport is run smoothly and in a fashionably order. From Kuwait International Airport, I'm Ghanwa Jabouri reporting to you for Kuwait in 30 minutes.
As part of an air bridge, a cargo aircraft arrived at Kuwait International Airport from Europe, South Korea, Japan, and United States with tons of medical equipment and supplies on board. The cargo is part of the efforts to consolidate and support the health stock in the country in the light of the government's efforts to confront and combat the repercussions of COVID-19. More in this report by Hadil Fahad.
The cargo air bridge planes continue to arrive in Kuwait to support the state's strategic stock of medical equipment and devices amid the consequences of COVID-19. 120 tons of medical equipment and supplies, including mask-producing machines, face shield, and equipment first time the bridge received it, coming from Europe, South Korea, Japan, and US.
It's fully medical equipment for the hospitals and the support of the hospital. We brought this airplane because it's pure medical equipment and we need to put a certain amount of temperature. It's different than the IL-76 when we brought the factories for the face mask factories. So this one we can see right now we have big orders coming to the Ministry of Health, medical equipment and also medication. So this airplane is fully for the medical. And we can see the load start to get more and more. So I think this air bridge is not going to stop. It's going to continue.
Kuwait receives many air cargo flights to meet all the needs of the parties concerned with the COVID-19 pandemic.
The Kuwait Red Crescent Society continues its efforts in supporting needy families in Kuwait. The organization is providing these families with complete food baskets that include all the essentials, setting up an operation center in Aslabia to cater to families that live rather close by. Here's more with Saleh Al-Abedi.
The Kuwait Red Crescent Society continues their efforts of aiding the registered needy families in Kuwait. In this operation that was based in the Slabiya area, the Red Crescent Society aims to come closer to needy families to ensure that they provide the required care to the families in close proximity to their homes.
First of all, Alhamdulillah, we are happy to be here in Al Slabiya to assist our brothers and sisters who are needy. In compliance with the Kuwaiti Red Crescent Society's humanitarian policy, we make sure to provide assistance for needy families. As we all know, the Kuwaiti Red Crescent Society actively participated in several locations, such as quarantine sites, the airport, and in different locations. But this did not stop us from continuing to aid the 6,000 registered needy families during these circumstances. Previously, we used to receive the families in our headquarters in Shuwaykh. But currently we are coming closer to them and taking the Ministry of Health's guidelines on social distancing into action. By limiting contact, our volunteers are putting the food baskets into their cars without them having to leave their cars to limit contact.
The Kuwait Red Crescent Society's volunteers are also aiding the society's distribution efforts by arranging the food baskets and placing them directly into the families' cars without having any contact, through a drive-through concept, which complies with the latest health standards, and it is more efficient and safe.
As you can see today, we are in Sulebia with the Red Crescent Society, trying to help the families in need by providing for them food baskets, which includes sugar, rice, milk. These are difficult times for all of us, so we are trying to help all the people in need.
The latest strategies used are innovative, which allows the society to provide aid to a huge amount of recipients without having long waiting lines or having to slow down their operation.
The Kuwait Red Crescent Society continues their efforts in supporting families in need, and today they are doing their campaign in Slabiya. Saleh Al-Abedi reporting for Kuwait in 30 minutes.
The cooperative societies returned to their normal operation after waves of frenzy shopping following the government's decision to impose partial and later full lockdowns. The normalcy indicated the people's commitment to safety measures and their confidence in governmental procedures. Our reporter Isra Shumari has more.
The consumer cooperative societies are come back and returned to their normal conditions, and it's clear that people have had enough in the past days and started buying their daily necessities as usual after being satisfied with the general scene as a result of government decisions that the food stock is available enough without the need for panic.
As you all know, we will move, Allah willing, during the coming period to the second stage according to the strict timetable set by the councils, ministries, and in direct coordination with the Ministry of Affairs, the Department of Cooperative Oversight, and circulars issued by the Federation of Cooperative Associations. We will return to community life gradually and with the effective cooperation from all members of the Kuwaiti community, citizens and residents. And we confirm that the strategic stock of food and consumer goods and materials are abundant, as you know, and as you see on our back that we have a lot of efforts with the cooperation with all the supplied companies, and I thank everyone for this historic cooperation that showed Kuwait in the brightest pictures in front of the world.
As Zahra Cooperative Association takes into account the commitment to social distance during and for any coming festival, noting that it will consider the ease of passing between the offered goods and the expansion of corridors to reduce fraction operations among the visitors of the association to ensure their safety and not to be subjected to any harm. Reporting to Kuwait 30 minutes, this is Isra Shimri.
Under the patronage and in the presence of Sheikh Daij Al Khalifa Al Sabah and in collaboration with the Ministry of Interior, a campaign titled Don't Forget Your Studies by non-profit organization Basmat Al Kuwait was recently launched in the Rumaithia, Salwa and Salmiya area. The campaign, which is funded by Khalid Isbai in cooperation with a volunteer organization called Forgive Us for Our Shortcomings, witnessed the volunteers alongside Sheikh Daij Al Khalifa distribute educational related gifts to children and families to instill in them a sense of educational motivation and responsibility after being away from school for a long period due to the COVID-19 pandemic. More the following report by Ghanwat Jabouri.
A campaign titled Don't Forget Your Studies by non-profit organisation Basmat Al Kuwait, headed by Khalid Al-Subayyi, in collaboration with the Ministry of Interior and in the presence of Sheikh Daij Al Khalifa, was recently launched in the Salwa, Rumaithia and Salmiya area.
We children for Samu Sheikh Sabah Al Ahmed, and we will what we do now. This when we small. Before Sheikh Jabir, Allah yarhamah, he do what we do now. We happy because all people is happy now because what we do for him. This what I say. I am very happy because what happened now in Salwa than in Rumaithia and before Mr. Khalid. What he do and Jilib Shuyukh and Mahbula.
Yeah, we have been started with COVID-19, which started. I hope it's finished early. But I want to thanks for all volunteers in Kuwait who's help us to do and give for all families the foods of kinds, and I want to thanks for all governments of Kuwait, everyone who's live in this Kuwait. I say in Arabic, Kuwait Al Habiba.
A variety of educational related products and other goods were distributed to children to lift their spirits, including books, pens, crayons and colouring pencils. The campaign is part of Basmat Al Kuwait's humanitarian goal, which is to reach out to as many communities as possible during the COVID-19 pandemic.
Our campaign today is called Don't Forget Your Studies. Okay, our campaign is funded by the biggest and first sponsor is النائب حمادي بدر السباعي. It is funded by Khalid al-Subai'i under the supervision of our team leader, the team leader of Basmat al-Kuwait, under the supervision of the district commander of Salmiya, Al-Amid Majid al-Adwani. We are here today to distribute coloring books, learning Arabic and English books.
Thank you so much for everything you're doing. We appreciate it a lot, and it's really sweet and kind from the government to do this.
Instilling a sense of belonging to educational responsibilities is important. Don't Forget Your Studies works to remind children about education and the importance of preparing themselves for their upcoming studies, especially during the prolonged break children are having to take, considering the closure of schools.
Bringing smiles to the many children of Kuwait. From Salwa, I'm Gemma Jaburi reporting to you for Kuwait in 30 minutes.
The quarantine currently imposed in many countries of the world due to the corona pandemic is difficult and frightening. However, it may also have positive aspects. It presents an opportunity for learning many things, introspection and reflection on oneself and the world. There are different stories and people from different backgrounds to tell their experience with the quarantine and how the corona pandemic crisis changed their lives and their view of people and humanity. More in the following report by Hadil Fahad.
The virus turned into a pandemic that invaded the world. Consequently, all service-provided places were closed. The current crisis demonstrated the importance of workers in health and foodstuff-selling sectors, along with other professions. The corona crisis may result in social appreciation for those workers amid the negative reports about the spread of the coronavirus in the world.
People are changing in a different way. How they go out, how they treat with people. They are not shaking hands. They're not. They know what they should do. So they are getting better with the crisis, I think.
I learned more about taking care, washing my hands more often, and using sanitizers and face masks.
With the schools closed and children staying at home, families can utilize the time to consolidate family ties via practicing group activities such as games, sport, or cooking.
Before I go outside too much, so I go cafe, I go eat outside. But now, no, I'm cooking too much. Also, I know how to cook. I know more things, not like before. Yes.
We should change. We should spend more money about education, about the medicine, about health, everything. We need to spend more money in education. We need good doctors. We need everything. It will change. Corona will change everything in the world.
Although most of us suffer from anxiety and frustration, the crisis shows a bright side, represented in the positive aspects demonstrated by the crisis of coronavirus outbreak around the world.
The Kuwaiti Basma voluntary team presented on-duty officers in the Al-Farwani area with gifts as a sign of appreciation for their efforts during the pandemic. The police officers are on duty 24/7 to serve and protect the people of Kuwait and to enforce the Council of Ministers' decisions. Here is more with Saleh Al-Abaidi.
The Kuwaiti Basma team coordinated with the Al-Farwaniya Public Security Department to present on-duty officers with gifts in appreciation of their efforts in combating the COVID-19 pandemic especially in areas that fall under full quarantine restrictions, which was attended by the commissioners of Al Farwaniya Public Security Department, Abdullah Safah Al Mullah.
We're checking in the Farwaniya in the main entrance 24 hours, and we check about the clears or the people who go out. After that, we check all the cars go out. Maximum you have somebody inside the heading to go out about this area.
We're here as the Kuwait Youth Development Association with our brothers, the volunteers here. We're showing our gratitude to members of the Ministry of Interior that they're preserving peace in the fully curfewed areas like Farwaniya, Jalib Shuyukh, Mahbula, and formerly Hawali. That's why. That's at least the least thing we can do to these members of the Ministry of Interior and the National Guard and the Ministry of Defense to show them how
Revival of Islamic Heritage Society continues its efforts to distribute food baskets in cooperation with the Ministry of Social Affairs for the Affected Labours, Article 18, and is distributed within the region, trying to deliver it to the largest possible amount of affected labours from COVID-19.
التراث Affair Society from 1st of June until today we dispatched 258,000 bread and 15,077 food baskets. Today also continue the charity also works, and we are continue try to contact Virgin residents to give them any help they needed, and we are also support the government to help the Virgin resident.
The association is making a concerted effort to help the government overcome this crisis through supporting different government agencies, whether in foodstuffs, rents, or labor affected from this crisis. Reporting to Kuwait 30 Minutes, this is Isra Faleh.
Deputy Prime Minister and Interior Minister Anas Al-Saleh, accompanied by Health Minister Sheikh Bas Al-Sabah, opened a health quarantine at the Officers Club to treat suspected cases of COVID-19 virus from members of the Ministry of Interior. Our reporter Hadid Fad has more in the following reports.
Deputy Prime Minister and Interior Minister Anas Al-Saleh, accompanied by Health Minister Sheikh Dr. Basil Sabah, opened a health quarantine at the Officers Club to treat suspected cases on the coronavirus COVID-19 from members of the Ministry of Interior.
We've been preparing this quarantine location for MOI members, and it's been prepared by the Ministry of Health, and my great thanks to my colleague, His Excellency Sheikh Dr. Basil, for preparing and fully organizing and equipping the quarantine area to be ready to accommodate all our fellow MOI members and the police force work, and hopefully we look forward that we receive the least possible.
The quarry is part of the Ministry of Interior's effort to tackle the coronavirus and support the efforts of the state and health authorities, with the aim of easing the pressure on hospital and medical staff.
At the beginning, we're at the MOI quarantine here, which is prepared by the Ministry of Health. We have 24 clinic that is fully equipped. to treat COVID-19 cases and an isolation for asymptomatic patient. The clinic consists as well of many healthcare staff. We have 4 doctors running it. We have nursing staff, 7 nursing staff, and as well 7 pharmacists who provided all the medical requirement for the other Ministry of Health.
The Minister of Health praised the efforts of the Interior Ministry, equipping the quarry and equipping it with all equipment during record time in accordance with the standards of health.
Amid the exceptional circumstances witnessed by the country as a result of the COVID-19 epidemic, the team in charge of violations at the Ministry of Electricity and Water continues its task to provide a healthy environment commensurate with the current situation. The team tours aim to remove all violations and encroachments of state property. More in the following report.
The Ministry of Electricity and Water exert efforts in cooperation with the Kuwait municipality and the Environment Police to provide a safe and healthy environment that copes with the current circumstances in the country. The ministry continues its campaign to remove vehicles and heavy equipment under the telephone lines to facilitate the maintenance process and ensure safety for all.
In coordinating with Kuwait municipality, Ministry of Electricity and Water are cooperating to remove the violation under the 132 kV and 300 kV overhead lines, which interrupt the maintenance team in the ministry.
Recording violations and issuing warnings in Al Ahmed Industrial Zone are part of the follow-up efforts made by Al Ahmed executive authorities to provide a healthy environment in light of the current situation. The tour is part of the ongoing efforts made towards the removal of all violations on state property are removed.
This brings us to the conclusion of tonight's episode of Kuwait in 30 Minutes. We hope to see you again same time next week. Our highly dedicated team of correspondents is constantly out on the field searching for reports that matter most to you. Thank you for joining us tonight and see you next week with more exclusive reports. Have a good night.